Alright everybody, this is the first morning after I added my new native fish to my tank here, and I am absolutely in love with these shiners here in the back. They're not coming out real well. The color in them just isn't done justice by this camera. I've tried both my cameras and neither one of them really brings out the color the way I see it. I'm not quite sure why that is. I don't know, maybe if it's something to do with YouTube or what. But the colors on these are absolutely fantastic. They're bright blue and red with a dark stripe down their side, and they're sort of a greenish brown across the back, and when they change direction or move, the colors change. I've looked them up as best I could. I'm pretty sure there's some type of shiner. I can't remember the exact name of the group of fish. I want to say Notropis or something like that. And there is one that's actually called the rainbow shiner, and that's as close as I've been able to find to identifying it, but it still doesn't quite look right. I don't quite think it's the rainbow shiner, but I don't know what else to call it. I will probably be posting some photos of these fish on my Google Plus page. I have a Aquaria collection, so if you're not interested in my other stuff, if you're only interested in my fish and you want to follow me on Google Plus, just follow my Aquaria collection, and that will only be photos of my own fish. I do little photos, GIFs, short videos, and stuff like that. So you'll get a little bit of extra stuff you don't really get here on my YouTube channel if you don't already follow me on Google Plus. So I will be doing some photos of these fish here in the near future, and hopefully I'll be able to get some really detailed up-close photos, so anybody out there that is a native fish wonk and really knows their native fish might be able to get some really good detailed images of them and be able to help me identify them a little more accurately. This fish here is the one I actually wanted to have a look at when I started videoing this morning. He's not going to sit still for very long. But if you look closely at him, he's pretty beat up. He's got scratches and scars on him. He's missing scales. I'm pretty sure he got grabbed by a crayfish during the night. The rest of these are doing their thing near the surface. I did have one viewer suggest that because they are in warmer water now, the oxygen levels could be significantly lower than the stream that they came from. I'm not disputing that at all. I guarantee you there's less oxygen in this tank than there is in the stream that these came from. I don't think that's unusual behavior, though. When I turned the lights on this morning, they were lying low in the tank down near the bottom like they were sleeping. And within minutes of the lights being on, they're now up near the top doing exactly what they were doing yesterday. So I don't suspect that it's anything to do with oxygenation. While there is a lower amount of oxygen in this tank, it's plenty of circulation in here. I have that bar giving me all that surface agitation. At this end of the tank, I have another 240-gallon power head giving me more surface agitation. And down in the bottom corner, I have an 850-gallon power head circulating the water around. So while there's nowhere near as much oxygen as you're going to find in a babbling brook that's of cold water, there's plenty of oxygen in this tank. I'm nowhere near the point where these fish are going to be starving for oxygen. So I think that that's their normal, natural behavior. I really like the way these new shiners, these sort of rainbowy colored fish, I'm reluctant to start calling them rainbow shiners because I don't know if that's what they are or not. Now that's a pretty good look at the color on this one. Maybe the type of lighting it gets underneath in the tank has a determination on how colorful we get to see them, but they fall right in line with the golden shiners in there. And now that I'm getting to look at these, I'm almost wishing I didn't have those golden shiners in there. I'd like to have a great big school of these bright colorful fish rather than these golden shiners. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with these golden shiners, though. They were only ever intended to be fish to put in the tank to get me through the winter. And since I bought them as bait from a local bait and tackle shop, I just kind of figured when the winter was over and it was time to get out fishing, I'd already have some bait in the tank. But honestly, now that I've spent the entire winter watching these fish, it just doesn't seem right to think of them as bait anymore, and I really just couldn't imagine sticking a hook through one of them and throwing it out in the river. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I can sell them to somebody. I don't know if anyone would be interested in, having some golden shiners in their tank. Maybe we could work something out. I don't know. But I'm going to have to start thinking about what to do with them, because that's an awful lot of fish in a tank that, as far as I'm concerned, I've only just begun to stock. Again, these were never really meant to be permanent stock in this tank. These were only meant to have fish in it to get me through the winter. And since they technically qualified as a native fish in this area, I went ahead and bought, a dozen shiners from the bait and tackle shop and stuck them in there last autumn. So now they've been in there as long as they have. We'll see what happens with them. I'm really trying to get a look at some of these really tiny little bottom-dwelling fish. Someone identified them as darters, but I definitely have two different kinds in here. I have one that has a really pointy face on it. It almost reminds me of my loaches. And then I have I have two of them that have a much more sort of blunted, rounded face. And looking at them from above, they almost look like a rubber lip or a pleco or something. They've got that sort of rounded front end. Their lips and everything are sort of rounded off rather than pointy like the other ones. So I don't know if that's a male and a female of the same species. I don't know if it's multiple species. I don't know if one's a sculpin and one's a darter. I don't know if they're both species of darters. I've been looking around online. Apparently we have a lot more fish here in Maryland than I ever realized we have, living in our streams and everything. And some of them are so similar looking, it literally gets down to counting the number of rays in their fins or counting the number of scales between this part and that part. So I don't know if we're ever going to really positively identify any of the fish that are in this tank, or all of the fish. I know we'll positively identify some of them, but I don't know if we're going to ever positively identify all of them. But I also don't care. As I was saying in another video, this isn't ever really meant to be any kind of scientific study. This isn't meant to be any real serious biotope tank. This is just meant to be a cool tank to have some neat fish in. And, as I get out and get fishing and catching some different stuff, we're going to stock it up. And who knows, if I catch something midsummer that's cooler than the stuff I've already got in here, maybe I'll take something out and add something new. We're always going to be able to change this tank around or whatever. So look forward to all of that. Make sure you're subscribed. Just wanted to give everybody a look here at my first morning after adding those new fish yesterday afternoon. Looks like everybody made it through the night, with the exception of the one of these getting a little beat up. And I did identify these. They are, again, I want to say they're the Notropis species, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And they don't have a common name, so I can't remember off the top of my head what they are. I'll probably put their name down in the description below the video. I also looked at the Blacknose Dace, and I'm telling you, it could be either or. I don't really know exactly what the differences are, and that would probably be exactly one of those circumstances where I was talking about. You'd have to count the number of scales or count the number of rays in the fins. I'm sure there's a difference between the Blacknose Dace and whatever the other species, and I think it is the other species. I think it's the shiner species and not the dace species. So we'll have to wait and find out. And again, if anybody knows what the difference between the dace species is and the shiner species, let me know, because they look pretty damn near identical when I look at pictures of them, and I'm not really able to determine what the difference between the two is. So, I feel like I've rambled on long enough. I've been waiting and waiting, hoping that I'd get to see one of these little bottom dwellers make an appearance, or even one of the little small crayfish I've got in there, because they're just cool looking, seeing the little baby crayfish walking around. But alas, we're not going to get to see either. But as I said, make sure you're subscribed. Believe me, I will get them on video. The moment I see those little bottom dwelling fish, I'm going to grab my camera, and at the very least, I'm going to get photos of them. So once again, follow me on Google+. And again, if you're only interested in my aquaria, you can just specifically follow my aquaria collection rather than all of my stuff, and you will only get my fish stuff if that's all you're interested in. So thanks again for watching this one. Stay tuned for some more updates on this tank. I'm probably going to go back out again today and see if I can't do something. So there might be something else exciting coming up on this tank in the very near future. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget, this is my native tank. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you real soon on the next one.